Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Dan Hendriksen here. We're at Wallasey Golf Club. We're doing a bit of filming today and I've got a real golf video for you. We have recently been at Wallasey Golf Club playing and Alex Evans had a shot on the 5th hole, kind of short-sided himself there on the par 3, and he tried to play, or he attempted to play, and actually executed it really well, a little drawing chip. Now, I have heard of this shot before. I've never actually practiced it myself, but I thought today we could have a little go with it. I've got Lester and Paul with us today and we thought we'd have a chat about it and see if we might be able to help you with your own game. Don't forget, if you like what you're seeing from these real golf videos, then hit that subscribe button, pop a little comment down below and hit that thumbs up. But let's go and meet up with the boys and have a chat about the shot that Alex had.
You got to kill it. You've got to kill it up on literally onto the edge, just short of the green. If you can just get it to kill it onto that, I don't think you'll be too far away if you're going with a more aerial shot, you know.
Okay, we're going to try and play a little draw shot then.
Okay.
Back in the stance, and then just release to the right. It's the feeling.
There. And what he's done by doing that is, by doing that, you take a little bit of spin off of it as well, don't you? By doing that.
Again, I thought it was better than that.
Launch comes out a bit lower, spin a little bit lower, and then you can get a bit more of a release up the green.
When you play that draw, yeah.
Absolutely.
So an interesting shot that Al played there. Obviously you guys were further up on the green, so you didn't really weren't aware of what was kind of going on there, but he was kind of in between clubs, in between shots. He didn't really know what he was trying to almost do in some way. So the idea was to get the ball up and get it releasing towards the pin. So he had a little bit of green to work with, but he obviously had an upslope that he was trying to play into and then let it release off of there. A drawing chip shot, is it something that you've kind of come across before?
It's not something I really play or don't think of it in those terms, but I can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to take the angle of attack down a little bit, isn't he, with his shot, so it's not digging in as much, the club, and getting it to release more as it lands the ball. So yeah, I can kind of see what he was trying to do, yeah.
Now you got to remember, when we're playing at Wallasey, we've got really tight lies, so we haven't got a lot of grass under the ball, which is slightly different to Torquay, which you have a little bit more grass underneath. Really tight lies and obviously quite quick greens, so, and it was firm, wasn't it? It was playing quite firm that day, so he could get that ball to kind of release. So we're going to try and attempt that shot today. We're also going to get some numbers for you, so we can maybe talk about the details of exactly how that ball is reacting on the surface when it lands and the information that the ball is giving back to us. So let's hit a couple of shots. Let's just see what it actually does, see how it reacts on the green that we've got here in front of us, and see if there's any benefits to your game and our games even to take that shot away with.
Yeah.
So what Al was trying to do, Paul, is instead of the kind of usual chip shot, he was almost trying to hit what I call a little bit of a draw shot. So he was getting the path to maybe move a little bit more into out, with a club face that was almost close to that path but pretty neutral to the actual target line. And we'll talk about what the numbers he got from it in just a minute, but the idea is that he would get it to sort of land and then release out towards the hole, and it's quite an interesting type of theory, really. One of which you'd have to practice a little bit, but certainly you can see that ball wants to jump forward and release out there, don't you? What's your thoughts?
For me, it's a shot that you would maybe use if you want to kind of keep using the same club.
Yeah.
I think you could do it in a different way and use a less lofted club and play it. I tend to use my 52 more often than not when I want it to land and release. So there's another way of doing it, but if you want to stick with a lofted club, you can try it this way and get it to release that way,
Almost getting the idea of getting a club that you like chipping with, and then just sticking with it and learning how to play it in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's probably what we're kind of talking about here, whereas not necessarily moving around your golf bag trying to find different clubs to play different types of shots. I just want you to have a little go and just tell me what you think about the actual setup of it and so what it kind of makes you feel like you have to do in order to play it.
How was he playing it then? He was...
So pretty much normal back,
stance,
maybe slightly back in the stance.
Yeah.
And then he was just trying to work that club a little bit more inside on the way back, and then almost like get it away from him. So he was definitely throwing that club away this way a little bit, just to try and feel like his path is moving more exaggerated into out is the idea.
And then releasing the hands on the way through.
Yeah, almost starting the club face a
the
little
club
bit
face.
squarer or closed at address.
Yeah.
Just to accommodate for that a little bit of like hook spin that he's trying to create for it. You can see definitely when that ball lands, it wants to go forward, doesn't it?
It wants to go forward, and it also wanted to go a bit left as well, which I guess is the actual hook spin you're putting onto it.
So what we'll see, and we'll have a little look at the numbers, but if you think about how much you might create a little bit of more left spin on the ball. So what you might see with this shot is a ball that lands and maybe first bounce, it might kick left a little bit because of the type of reaction on the ball. Yeah. I think once it gets rolling, I don't think you're going to see any sort of curvature on the ball from that, because once it's hit the ground, it's moving forward. But you could definitely see from when Paul's ball landed there, it landed and kind of kicked left.
First bounce was
definitely a left,
and then it kind of rolls straight. But that first, where it's landing, I guess where the spin, the right to left spin is imparting, it kind of twists the ball as it lands, and then it bounces to the left, I think.
Yeah. But from a feeling of actual technique, is it something that you think you would kind of work on?
I think it's something you've got to practice hard. I quite like that feel there. I mean, that may give me another option than just using the 52 every time. But yeah, it's something you could maybe have a go at. I think a lot of the top players would probably try that shot. But I think it's something you've got to be confident with before you do it, because I think there's quite a lot going on there in order to achieve those results there with your club path and your face. So, yeah.
So I want to give you some numbers now. Okay. So I want to give you some numbers of what I did when I hit this shot in the studio. I was just doing some sort of 10-yard chips, which is what we've kind of got out here. When I hit my standard 58, so I'm using 58, you're using 58 degree wedge, which is I think what Al was using as well. If you look at, let's start over with the yardage. So they've both gone 10, 11 yards, okay, in the air.
Carry, yeah.
Yeah, the standard shot goes 2 yards high. The drawing type of shot goes 1 yard high, so it's coming out lower.
Yeah.
Now the reason for it coming out lower is that we're launching it lower. So the standard shot launches at 34 and a half, compared to the drawing shot, which launches at 27.5.
Yeah.
So it's definitely coming out a bit flatter, isn't it? But here's the interesting one with what Al was probably trying to do, was he was trying to take a little bit of spin off the shot. So he knew that when it landed, it would release down the green a little bit more. Well, the normal spin for me is at 3,500 revs with a normal shot. When I try and put a little bit of draw spin on it, it goes down to 2.7.
It's a big drop off, isn't it?
So it's a big drop off. So that golf ball is not going to react in a spinny way, is it? It's going to want to release out just that little bit more. So a combination, I think, there of coming out a little bit lower and running out with less spin. It's just always going to, sort of descent angle is going to come in a bit shallower, isn't it? And run out towards the target a little bit more. If you look at descent angle, 36 descent angle compared to 28 or 29. So there's definitely a difference in what we're getting in those shots. And if we just look at the left spin, averaging 28 left with the standard shot compared to 672 on an average left with that drawing type of shot.
It's a lot of left.
It's a lot of left, which we've seen from the shot that you just hit there, that ball wanting to react a little bit left as it landed.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
I think so, yeah, definitely.
So after you've seen the numbers that we've just talked about from what we got in the studio and how the ball's been reacting, what could the average golfer do with this? Is it something you would sort of recommend for them to play or learn?
If you're going to play this shot, you'd need to practice a lot of it and get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I think the easiest shot, and what I tend to do, is maybe go for a lower loft and do your normal chip in action and just let the loft dictate what roll you get rather than trying to change up your technique as such. So, but I think on the flip side, if you're somebody who kind of digs the club in quite a bit with your chips and you want to, find a way of shallowing out so you're not quite taking as much grass or as much of a divot, this could be a good way of trying to do that. So maybe trying to play like what they call mini draws. I know Matt Kuchar kind of does that in his pitching, and he's a great pitcher of the ball. So, it could be a simple way of changing your technique to get less, to get more shallow on the ball with your chipping action. I think that could work for sure, definitely.
Is it something you would do yourself? Do you, at this stage in your golfing career, would you like to learn that shot?
I can play it, but it's something I would have to practice a lot to use it in competition.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy with how I play my chips as well. So
Yeah.
I'd probably just stick to just using my 52 or my pitching wedge to play something I wanted releasing more than actually trying to change my technique to do it. But everyone's different, so it's the case of finding what works best for you, definitely.
No, I think Paul has summed that up pretty well, actually. I think if you watch that vlog with Al, you can see that he's a player that loves to play around with different types of shots, certainly around the green. So he's obviously someone that loves to practice and experiment with different shots. And if you're that type of player, then have a go, give it a go, see if it works for you. But I think the important factor there is that we're all slightly different and we all want to try and get the job done in our own way. But I'd certainly like to hear what you think about that shot. Is it a shot that you've ever seen before? Is it a shot that you play, or do you do something slightly different? If you like what you're seeing from these Real Golf videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got lots of more content coming your way, and we'll see you all again very soon.